The Marvel Universe has seen many threats to its existence. Usually, heroes team up, smack the bad guy with a kapow, and head home. But when the prophecy of the Midnight Sun starts rolling, the Sanctum Sanctorum blown apart, and both villains and heroes are turned into demonic versions of themselves, it calls for a special joining of forces, forming the Midnight Suns. Marvel's Midnight Suns is a tactical RPG developed by Firaxis where players lead a team of heroes and even some villains from various groups as their own superhero, the Hunter, to defeat the Mother of Demons Lilith before she can bring the dark god Chthon back to life. It has some interesting XCOM-like gameplay with squad strategy combat, the main difference being it's also a deck builder like Slay the Spire and other games. Outside of combat missions, you have social relationship building elements like Persona or the Dragon Age camp segments, where you can explore your favourite characters in a bit more detail. I'm a massive comic book fan and I love how that's blended with a more occult story, without it getting too jargony and complex. Arguably, the story is actually the weakest link in this game. This video will be exploring the plot of the game, highlighting some of the characters you may be unaware of, and how it all jumbles together into a great experience. I'll be touching on the gameplay and even covering the DLC, where a few well-known faces join in to take out Dracula, prevent a vampire apocalypse happening at the same time. Expect spoilers as we dive in.
You the new guy?
Huh?
Sorry, the new fully customizable, heroically upgradable monster masher?
Now just to set the stage, throughout Marvel history there's a few characters that deal primarily with the occult. Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider and Blade would be the most recognisable to the average Joe. They did have their own films after all. The Midnight Suns, spelled S-O-N-S, were originally a team founded by Ghost Rider's Danny Ketch and Johnny Blaze after receiving a vision that Lilith, the Mother of Demons, would awaken and flood the world, well, with demons. They then pull in a variety of other supernatural supes to deal with her. The mystical book The Darkhold takes a heavy role in there too. The team has existed in a few different forms, one to fight Mephisto's forces, a big demon, one in the Marvel Zombies universe, and recently one in the Blood Hunt storyline. The game here follows its own unique story, with those comics really only serving as inspiration. Lilith is still our antagonist, and things start off a little differently. Members of Hydra, led by Dr. Faustus, a psychologist by trade who has faced off against Captain America in a few different stories. In this iteration, he's just a Hydra scientist responsible for awakening Lilith 6 months before the game actually starts. We then cut ahead to Johnny Blaze, Spirit of Vengeance, visiting the grave of his long-lost love Roxanne Simpson. In this iteration, he doesn't look like Nicolas Cage. In fact, he's quite old, no longer running as the Ghost Rider. Doctor Strange and Iron Man rock up with Strange warning Blaze that the prophecy of the Midnight Suns is upon them, but we don't really get any context as to what that prophecy is. Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, and Iron Man, a technical mastermind, team up because of all of this. They've come to Blaze asking for help stopping the prophecy, and we realise we're in a bit deeper than we expected.
It's fine. I know what he meant.
Soulless undead attack us, and he rides off and we hit our tutorial section. The game looks like XCOM until you start looking at the actual HUD. Each turn you draw from a pool of character cards determined by whichever hero you've taken on a mission. You get 3 card plays a turn with certain modifiers extending this, and combat is turn-based with heroes generally going first, then the enemy and then back again. You're really playing a secret puzzle game here rather than a strategy combat game, trying to make the most of your cards before your enemy get to attack. On a basic level, some will be able to hit multiple enemies through side effects like knockback.
So it's a contest now. Then you take the extra creepy one.
Others will do straight damage or buff yourself and your allies. Each hero has a unique playstyle and some unique passives. Strange, as a big brain, has a lot of buffing cards which you benefit from as you accrue heroism. Some attacks generate heroism, and some stronger ones use it as a resource. You can also get that resource and use it to perform environmental attacks. If you don't like your cards, you can get a number of rerolls, and Iron Man's cards actually get buffed by rerolling them instead of being discarded. We'll see more interesting characters later, and some missions aren't about killing all your enemies again, but later, back onto the story. We dispatch the soulless undead, not sure where they came from, and with Blaze not being much help, the two return to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, is Strange's understudy in this setting, though it's clear he doesn't have the utmost trust in her powers, they come from chaos magic. Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, comes down too to add some alien flair to our team of Avengers. Pretty much as soon as she does, Hydra soldiers enter through a mysterious green portal and Wanda is sidelined into setting up wards while the three of us enter Tutorial Part 2. Captain Marvel has access to a few damaging abilities that can hit many enemies at once, and does a lot of the heavy lifting getting the Yahtzee party members off of the hardwood floors. When we clear out enough, we cut to Wanda setting up the magical wards, and it appears something is blocking them. Lilith comes in, and Strange bites off a lot more than he can chew.
Mother of demons, harbinger of the midnight sun, prophecy or not, you overstep, challenging the sorcerer supreme.
Be silent.
See, the Avengers are quite good against your mundane threats, but magic is always a bit shifty in comic books, and Lilith single-handedly bats these guys off. Strange manages to push her back through a portal, and it's unclear what she actually wanted from the Sanctum. Weighing up that the Avengers aren't enough for this threat, 3 of our 4 head through a new portal, leaving Wanda to set up the wards again. They pop out in the woods of Salem, Massachusetts. Well, a pocket dimension. Where we see a few underrepresented characters. Blade you probably know of, a daywalking vampire hunter. Nico Minoru, holder of the magical Staff of the One, a staff that can cast any spell at once, but only once. Magic, mutant sorceress, raised in limbo, and Robbie Reyes, the current Ghost Rider. Strangers come here to enlist the help of their handler, the Caretaker, almost rudely ignoring the Midnight Suns to their angst. Our character in this is the Hunter, a child of Lilith who is exhumed from their coffin to be raised as a living weapon once again against their mother. It's here you can customise to your liking, and then of course be magically resurrected.
Mother.
So, that's a good thing, right?
Interestingly, Caretaker is concerned that the collar around our neck should be protected, and that's something to keep an eye on for the rest of the story. While we rest, various members of the 2 teams pop in and out. We see a mysterious event horizon in space, and then Act 1 officially begins, the Awakening. The Hunter was once raised before to defeat Lilith centuries ago, and so is almost plucked out of time. You can tell this by their language, the way they dress, the fact they still use swords. And the first hero to greet us is also a sword wielder, Blade.
Have to admit, Hunter, you make one hell of an entrance. Guess that makes 2 of us.
You should have struck when you had the chance, vampire.
We mistake him for a normal vampire, forgetting first and foremost, we're stood outside in the sunlight. See, Blade was turned in the womb and has all the strengths of vampires but none of their weaknesses. His usual quarry is other vampires, but he'll be tagging in for demons this time too. He leads us to our welcome party in the Abbey itself, and we have time to thank Nico for welcoming us back to life. We get introductions from everyone else. Robbie is a bit of a fanboy, Magic is rather cold, and we deduce Caretaker has reformed the Midnight Suns, a team we were previously part of. The Abbey itself is a hub area where one can explore both during the morning and the evening, interact with characters, research and choose missions. It's where the game feels most like it's XCOM. You also get those Persona influences as well. We go to our mission table, and talking to the rest of the group, it's clear we don't actually remember how we defeated Lilith the last time. We call for the aid of an original Midnight Sun, Agatha, but she's nowhere to be seen, and that kind of gets swept under the rug as the Babylonian Soul Glass table shows us Wanda's in trouble.
Wanda! The dark force, pushing against the wards. Stephen, where are you?
That's impossible.
With that, we form our first team for our first real mission, Strange, Blade and the Hunter. For missions later on, you tend to be able to choose who you want, you don't even need to take the Hunter for them. But for all story missions, it tends to be the Hunter, a set other hero, and perhaps even others. It turns out, Lilith, wielding the big bad book, the Darkhold, is able to pierce the wards of Stranger's Sanctum, and so we hop through one of Magic's portals using Limbo to teleport right outside of the place. Ending up on the streets of New York, it's clear Lilith isn't attacking the Sanctum on her own, as trucks full of Hydra goons pop up looking for a tussle. It's at this point you get your first off-rails bit of combat really, being able to make full use of each hero's arsenal and all the various environmentals strewn about. Some enemies lack a health bar and only need a stale cough to take them out, meaning you can knock it into another enemy and that'll work, or you can use attacks with the quick keyword to get an extra attack free of charge. I really enjoyed the combat in this game, and with so many heroes, each with a customizable deck, it never felt too samey to me. Many heroes have more abilities than you'll actually see in one playthrough, and so you can build them into various different niches complementing whatever mission you're going on. It's really a strength of this game. Blade here is really good at either doing weak attacks to many opponents or big attacks to single ones. Later on he makes use of lifesteal and DOT effects too. You might think slicing Hydra operatives with a big katana in broad daylight on 5th isn't exactly heroic, until after the fight we take one of their helmets off. They've all been dosing demon blood so they get the demon treatment. The Sanctum itself is overcome with black tendrils and Wanda is given some trouble. Strange approaches from outside, and we can see the source of the black goop is our first real villain to succumb to the demonic influence, becoming physically corrupted. Venom, in this case Eddie Brock, has a different origin to the Tom Hardy films, an alien symbiote fusing to him after it had already become Spider-Man's black symbiote suit, hence maintaining the Spider-Man aesthetic. He's become extra nasty with the demonic changes. Supervillains tend to have a special gimmick and have to be knocked down multiple times to be truly defeated. Venom will bind heroes who attack him in melee after he's already been hit once, so you get this nice mix of having to vary your attacks up. His demonic goo covering the Sanctum means we won't be getting him anytime soon. When you take him down, we then see this full force as the Hunter tries to charge in, getting absolutely mollyrocked before our friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man swoops in.
What we're dealing with yet.
He's not an Avenger in this iteration, just a cool guy who has the full attention of our villain. He leads Venom away whilst we return home, being given access to a device by Iron Man that lets us not only communicate with the other heroes, but access their own form of private social media. When we go to sleep, we enter a dreamy realm where we come face to face with Lilith, our mother, before being awoken by one good girl, our pet hellhound Charlie. And there's a lot going on right now. We then learn the systems of the Abbey, the research station ran by Strange and Stark where we can acquire upgrades and story MacGuffins between missions, and the training yard where we can spar with other heroes to build relationships, apply various buffs and even level them up outside of missions. Then we're on to another away mission this time, joining Captain Marvel and Blade to investigate an abandoned warehouse that Hydra might be operating out of. Gamma signatures, science and unstable isotopes aren't really the caretaker's thing, so she tells us we'll patch Banner in as our man in the room. As we approach en route, we can see the place glowing green too, with Faustus doing something to annoy Bruce. He's doing something combining technology and magic to make some pretty evil looking glowing bombs. Bruce asks for stealth and well...
Yeah, I don't do stealth.
Kill them.
I get it's an action game, but sometimes the heroes will be a little bit dumb in this game. Now, once we're in combat, if Marvel plays 3 of her cards on the trot, she unlocks the ability to go binary, and it's very flashy. It also gives her the ability to block a certain amount of damage, and ups her damage too. So now, not only are we trying to balance heroism and the amount of attacks we can pump out in one turn, we're also trying to balance heroes' various different buffs too. There is a surprising amount of complexity to this game that many will dismiss as it looking like a mobile game. Smack some goons and head inside to see Faustus was essentially making some sort of gamma magic bomb, which Marvel easily face tanks. He gets away, but we realise Hydra have been shipping Strange's artifacts out of his sanctum. We'll be able to use those to fuel our research as and when we recover them. Each artifact recovered gives us a few different spendable resources and grants access to higher tiers of research. The Abbey isn't just for upgrades and chatting. There's a ton of side content here all around exploring the grounds, completing the challenges of Elder Gods, and uncovering the true nature behind the ghostly apparition of the witch Agatha. She was a former Midnight Sun from when we were last awake. She's now dead. I'll leave a lot of that out of this video so we don't fall off on a tangent, but there is a wealth of it to explore if you play this game yourself. Wanda at one point or another was a member of the Midnight Suns too, and a close friend to magicians Magik and Nico. We can actually find Magik in Wanda's room contemplating how to get her back from Lilith's grip now she's been kidnapped, and empathising being held captive by a force of darkness. See, Magik herself had been lured into limbo as a child and was overseen by a demon there. It varies by iteration, in this case it was Mephisto. Either way, she's felt the same as Wanda right now. Between all main missions, we have to complete a general generic mission. Now, there's a variety of these to choose from, and each day they'll refresh. If you've played XCOM, you kinda know what you're looking at here, but there's no time limit. Lilith isn't just going to counter-research you, so you can play as casually as you want to. I'll be skipping over all of these unless I use a new hero or there's something cool to mention. This one, for instance, had me using Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes, and a lot of his moves proc off of each other, some chaining to more enemies each time you draw them, some damaging Robbie so that other cards do more damage when you unlock his passive. Whenever he KOs enemies, his max health increases. His big finisher move is pretty sick too. Ghost Riders can turn their vehicles into hell rides, Johnny Blaze used a motorbike, and Robbie has a sick hot rod.
Considered a great senate in the Hydra Cabal. Obsessed with the old race. And the detective.
The group tried tracking Venom down, looking to assist Spider-Man, but the two are swinging around New York with such speed, the Avengers tech can't really home in, and the Majors are also struggling. It's only when the younger members of the team use the power of social media to track them down do we head into another portal and go and save Spider-Man. When we arrive, New York is a scene of chaos, with Venom throwing half the city at the guy. We even get a cameo from Hydra Bob, which was a nice touch for comic book fans.
I'd seriously consider switching occupations if I were you, friend. I know, no job's perfect. But at the end of the day, it's all about the coworkers.
Most of the story missions are split into 2 missions back to back. The first in this case involves us fighting through Hydra thugs whilst building up enough heroism to rescue trapped civilians. The big environmental hazard is at the end of each round, Venom will throw some rubble at us, so we need to be aware of where our heroes and enemies end their turns. Spider-Man is a very mobile hero, with most of his cards giving him either quick multi-hit attacks or status effect applying ones, snares and knockbacks to transform the battlefield in his own special way. When the heroes are saved, we see the Hydra goons trying to capture Venom to pull him back on task, only enraging him more as the 3 of us beat down on him, eventually using the symbiote's weakness against sonic attacks to cause him to flee, and I'll apologise for the noise involved in that in this next clip.
It's a special request from all of New York to you, our slobbiest invaders since Thanos.
The sonic and constant fighting actually causes Spider-Man to pass out, so we take him back to the Abbey. When he's surrounded by his idols, in a few of the Avengers, he's starstruck. A lot of the relationship building with him is dealing with his imposter syndrome, as he sees himself as just a street level hero. We do eventually convince him to unmask that his secret identity is safe with us, and later hear Nico's protest that the Avengers are hijacking the reins, really pushing the Midnight Suns to the sidelines. They definitely present the Avengers as a cocky bunch who threaten to damage the mission by thinking they're better or more equipped than the Suns. We get a pop-up that from this point the DLC is available. Now 4 heroes are involved in here, the first of which is everyone's favourite merc with a mouth, Deadpool.
Hands up, pants down, ladies and gents. This is a robbery.
The DLC all revolve around vampires, with Deadpool hunting through a warehouse for an artifact for a Latvian billionaire to discover a new breed of vampires, and also they're looking for the same thing. Rather than get his lid blown by whoever hired him, he heads back through Magik's portal to become a hero we can take on our other missions. His whole gimmick is his cards get stronger the more people he knocks out, and weaker if he takes any damage. The game kindly tells us which enemies are going to attack who next turn, so you can plan around this and make sure he's not hit, if you play carefully in most cases. On the A side of the vinyl, on the main story, we see that Marvel has managed to track down Faustus. While we were messing around with Venom and Deadpool, we join her heading to New York to see what's so important that he would come personally to oversee it. Say what you want about these dudes, but they have style. Even during an apocalypse, Faustus has a perfectly sculpted thinker beard. He's also got another one of those magical bombs from earlier. It's actually unclear what Lilith and Faustus are doing with these bombs to advance their own goals, and that's something that never really gets revealed, just kind of glossed over. Faustus taunts us to examine his device a bit closer, and I begin the process of systematically smashing the Hydra agents. I took magic with me here, and what she lacks in damage she makes up for in a lot of knockback abilities and the ability to use portals to move people around the battlefield who normally wouldn't come close to each other. I also tried out some sort of fashion souls here, trying to live out my shinobi hero fanfiction. The Hydra enemies take a step up too, including ones that buff each other, and more annoyingly, ones that will go invisible and do major damage the next turn. You wait until we get minions that can duplicate each other, that's when the game gets really spicy. Faustus sets off his bomb, and it looks like Marvel isn't going to stop it this time.
Now thus will be done.
Typical.
Only for the heroes to pull a dodge out of their arse and Faustus to sigh. We then smash apart the Hydra operatives guarding him and try to take him alive. He thinks he's going to get away before we pull out the Deku dark webs. Before we can actually interrogate Lilith's mad scientist, he's clipped by a sniper in one of the most dramatic deaths that you'd expect in this game. Crossbones. Seems there's mercenaries on both sides of the fence here. Now it looks like a complete waste of a mission until the hunter pulls Faustus' diary out of his coat pocket and we head back to the Abbey with some intel at least. We see Lilith in our dreams that night again, which will become a reoccurring thing. She's presenting as a non-demon woman, and throughout all these sequences she tells us her motivations are purely for us. Of course, it seems like she could be lying and just trying to push a wedge between us and the caretaker, but I'm not going to pry on Hunter's family affairs just yet. Before we can bite into Faustus' diary, we bat on over to the B-side and start another DLC before finishing the first. All of the DLC missions kind of run off each other. The game gives you a forced order to complete them in, with the first missions kind of being independent of the rest. All of them purely concern vampires, and this mission concerns a very specific vampire with an exceptionally edgy opening.
Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
Blade.
Yes folks, Jared Leto's Michael Morbius. Before the film cemented him as the greatest comic book character of all time, he was the living vampire. A vampire with a pulse, created through his own experimentation, and loyal to no real master. Normally a villain for Blade or Spider-Man and a few others. Now he's noticed the new breed of vampires, and we help him with bashing through some of them. Morbius almost has a better Captain Marvel passive. Use 3 of his cards, you gain some block, all of your attack cards will cause enemies to bleed too. He's exceptionally flashy. Now, he was concocting some sort of sunlight serum to remove one of the vampire's biggest weaknesses, and it seems someone caught wind of this and sent Hydra vampires to retrieve it for themselves. The notes for the project and the prototype are gone, and when the vampires come to get us off the trail, we beat them down too. Returning to the Abbey, Hunter isn't exactly thrilled, but Spider-Man as a character reference works better than the "if it does not fit, you must acquit" defense.
If I may, there are few judges of character better than Spider-Man.
So we let him move into the Abbey with us. A vampire biologist would probably come in handy. There's a weird subquest during the Abbey nighttime where the mythical creature the bar guest is kind of snooping around too, but that also doesn't really get resolved until later. For now, flipping back to the A track, we investigate some Hydra chatter, bringing us to the sweaty streets of New York. I took a lovely combo of Iron Man and Deadpool on this mission. The hunter learns of why the organisation is called Hydra, and then another mercenary strikes.
Why is it that for every one of these sites we take out, it seems like 2 more appear in their place?
Patience. Hydra certainly lives up to their name.
I've hunted an actual Hydra. That was easier.
Easier than this. I live up to my name too.
Of course, his rival is waiting in the wings, Wolverine of the X-Men coming to hunt him down. Sabretooth is our next villain, and just like Venom, he's got some fun twists. He has this frenzy buff, which means he'll attack after every 2 cards played, rather than in his own turn. He's also a bit of a nuisance because of this. We get control of Wolverine in the second fight against Sabretooth, and he's got some real oomph too. A lot of his attacks giving that Weapon X theme that he's been experimented on and has this troubled past. Many fast feral attacks, the ability to use lifesteal in lieu of his healing factor. Hunter, after knocking Sabretooth down, doesn't seem to be aware of this healing factor and gets grabbed. But when he tries to bite a chunk out of our neck, our collar bites him back, wounding him greatly. Wolverine gives chase and we're left seeing Sabretooth collapse in an alleyway with one of the Hydra portals opening and Mummy Dearest stepping out, turning Sabretooth into her next Fallen. We blast through a general mission, and when we check our social media the next day, Bruce Banner the Hulk is posting some very cryptic stuff. This is juxtaposed with a call from the Hulk being all sulky, and it's clear in this iteration he's somehow lost his ability to turn into the Hulk. It's really not explained either, which in typical comic book writing is their way of nerfing him, or he'd be able to take on most of the threats solo. At the end of the call, we see Hydra attacking Avengers Tower, pretty much right after Tony stated it's going to hold up better than Stranger's Sanctum. We jump in a portal with Iron Man and come under fire by Hydra choppers. For some reason their defensive perimeters just shut down isn't working anymore, but we're saved when Earth's mightiest hero does some heavy lifting for us.
I thought the doctor said your defenses were down.
They are. Didn't say anything about our defenders, though.
Steve Rogers, Captain America, is pretty used to taking on Hydra, and so I was happy to have him in the squad. His moveset involves taunts, basic punches, and of course throwing that massive shield around. They reprised the Venom throwing stuff hazard with having choppers shoot missiles at the end of each turn on this mission, and this whole attack seems to be just an opportunistic thing by Hydra and Lilith. When we clear the helipad, Tony provides some anti-air support. One of the reactors is going into meltdown, and so Tony disarms their security with a special code, and in this case it's quite a silly one.
Okay, capital H-U-L.
Tony, tell me your super secret code is not Hulk Smash.
Don't be ridiculous. It's Hulk Smash 1234. Transmitting now.
Crossbones shoots at us and it's caught by Steve. He fires off a Yahtzee salute, and then we fight our next villain. Crossbones, having access to grenades and a shield he turns on after he's been hit. All of these villains can show up with a random chance in our generic side missions too, so it's always fun unlocking a new one. Rumlow is knocked down after a bit of jolly cooperation from the Hunter and the Avengers, and in a last ditch effort he goes to press some sort of bomb detonator, which is again caught by Cap. Unfortunately, something very bad happens.
Tony, was that a gamma burst? Why am I reading a gamma burst coming from inside the tower?
Not to worry, everything is fine, all part of the plan. Bruce, what the hell is going on down there?
Something far worse than hell, Tin Man.
Lilith, like I said before.
The Dark Mother thanks you so much for the Gamma Accelerator. Couldn't have done it without you, Tony.
Turns out there was a mole on the inside, and despite the Hulk being immune to mind control, as Banner can't turn into him, he's fallen to Lilith's corruption, and used the chaos to steal a Gamma Accelerator for Lilith, just some tech MacGuffin. He taunts Iron Man to save the world by taking him out, but of course he's not going to shoot one of his closest friends and colleagues, and so we escape into a portal after the tower's blown up. The Hydra forces leave with what they came for, and so far they're kicking our ass across the board, always 2 steps ahead of us. Tony is torn up by the loss of Banner, and the group fear for Tony's well-being.
Tony, I don't know what to say.
Don't say anything, because I don't want to talk about it.
Tony at a loss for words? That's a first.
It's happened before, and it's never a good sign. He's deeply shaken.
We speak to him alone later, and it seems he's upset he didn't take the shot, more upset that he didn't notice his friend falling to the dark side. The pep talk doesn't do much for Tony, but the group now are feeling the weight of the situation they find themselves in. If Banner turns into the Hulk, there's going to be little they can do to stop Lilith. In our dreams, she asserts she's freeing Banner from his shackles for the purpose of peace, and again tries to convince us she's the good guy, but I'm still not buying it. Now for our third DLC, we hear Magic receiving a spark call from Wolverine, calling for some help. When she hops through the portal, we see Aurora Monroe, Storm, a member of the X-Men who can control weather outside of an orphanage, stating that Professor X had detected a mutant with dormant powers here, one called Dahlia. She'd refused the invitation to go to Xavier's school for gifted children and has slipped through the cracks since. Storm has come back to the orphanage she stayed at, looking for her, and we see vampires have come to attack too, so we have to defend the place from them. There's a couple of new mechanics here, so Hemolisks, which will spawn enemies after X amount of cards are played, and Storm herself with a slew of lightning powers that will increase in power on subsequent turns after you draw a card, like a building storm. I probably should have mentioned earlier that the vampires themselves aren't just reskinned Hydra goons, and in fact are quite a bit of trouble. Their attacks can corrupt your cards, making them apply bleed to yourself, and whenever a hero gains that status, it can buff the vampires. They're fairly deadly if you let them swarm you, and they attack in high numbers, so an enemy that spawns more of them is a nightmare to deal with if you're not on your A game. The group smash through the vampires attacking, and we see who's leading them. In the comics, she's the daughter of Red Skull and a typical Hydra foil. In this iteration, she's also a vampire working with Hydra to build a vampire army for an unknown benefactor. She's another villain that can rock up from time to time now, Sin, with the ability to cause enemies to target heroes that hit her, and the ability to turn regular grunts into these vampire spawning Hemolisks. Her attacks look pretty nutty too, with these magical blood coloured blasts. Storm ends up blasting her against a metal fence until, well, stating she only used a quarter of her power. It's unclear why Sin was here in the first place, but it's likely she was after Dahlia too. Storm states the X-Men are off planet, hence why they've not been helping with the demon infestation, so it's up to the Midnight Suns to spin 2 plates at once. Speaking of spinning plates, as mentioned before, you can build friendships with various heroes in these post-mission sections. A few of them will be available to hang out each night, and you can pick various activities they'll either enjoy or have a neutral reaction to. Then perhaps you can even give them gifts after talking to them. One example here was after this mission where I watched a movie with Magic and she revealed her hobbies, in this case painting pictures on building nails. As you up friendships with various heroes, you'll obviously get a dollop of their own side stories. You'll unlock their passive buffs and even combination attacks for various members of the team. We'll see some of those later. One of the side threads involves Nico organising a surprise birthday party for Magic, which resolved around this time. Unfortunately, Magic doesn't like surprises and really doesn't celebrate her birthday. See, when she was a child on her birthday, that was when she was lured by Mephisto into Limbo to live there, and associates the date with giving into her darker side. They do a very good job with most of these personal elements with the characters, and I'm afraid I just can't touch on them all in this video. We'll have to play the game.
Do you like the music?
It's around this time that the core Midnight Suns are getting a bit tired of a lack of a rescue attempt for the Scarlet Witch. Both the Caretaker and the Avengers aren't exactly in a rush to endanger us all like that. We head into the Abbey Chapel to see the crew cast a locating spell for Wanda, teleporting accidentally into a Hydra containment lab.
Something powerful, something strong, something foul. That's where we begin.
We're actually in Banner's lab, who believes we're here to steal back the Gamma Accelerator. He has no clue how we've even found the place, but he does sick a few Hydra goons on us. When we dispatch them, Bruce finally remembers who he's speaking to, and he thinks he knows why we're here. We're here for Wanda. He raises a machine from the floor, and we see what he's been using the accelerator on.
What is that?
At this point, wouldn't surprise me if Thanos himself walked out of that thing.
No.
Oh, Wanda.
We were too late. She belongs to Lilith now.
Charging up a fallen Wanda Maximoff, who bursts out of her containment and faces off against us. Yet another new villain, and this one can cause us to discard cards and provide random debuffs in radiuses on the field. Nico, Magic and the Hunter face off against Wanda, who is probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest mage in the game currently. Hurl goons into her, smacking her with light magic, but none of it is good enough. Magic calls out that we need to flee, and the group rush into one of Magic's portals despite Nico's pleas.
Wanda, stop! It's me.
It is not her, Nico. She cannot hear you anymore.
Please.
Wanda tries to follow them through it and nearly succeeds until Caretaker of all people blasts her back to where she's come from. Caretaker and Wanda have a rocky relationship, as before the events of the game, Wanda was obviously a Midnight Sun, but had tried to use magic to cheat her way into one of the ancient god challenges you see in the side content. This backfired and killed Agatha, who is the blue ghost around the Abbey. Caretaker blames Wanda for this solely, but even Agatha herself admits there's no bad blood. She told Wanda to try it, and it adds a bit of friction between the Suns and the Caretaker. Captain Marvel manages to do a bit of work on translating Faustus's diary, finding various occult bits and pieces, including a fan fiction written about Lilith in Old Atlantean. The important thing found, however, was a shipping route from the Sanctum out of New York, starting with a back door in the sewers, heading to the Sanctum. Blade, as the King of Stealth, is enlisted as part of the squad for this mission. I grab Spidey too as we head in. Of course, the King of Stealth, well, you'll see it here.
We invented stealth.
We have to shut down the trucks planning to take artifacts and intel away. Nothing new really crops up besides it being the first instance of this new objective. The group then head into the mysterious hole, spotting again that it's a sewer entrance into the Sanctum and that Venom's tendrils even penetrate down here. Venom has been relegated to guard dog in this tunnel. We gloss over the fight with Venom here, but I'll show you what a hero combo attack looks like, and it's very flashy.
Move with me.
Our plan here is to purge Venom, become an anti-Venom if you will, but the combination of his alien energies and Lilith's demonic ones allow Lilith to try and call us to the dark side. We awaken back in the Abbey, having been carried back by Blade, and we're lucky the collar didn't break, or it would have been a bad day in the office. Stark has some reservations about the mighty hunter, and we wake up to hear them.
And you are certain it will hold?
We wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't. You two focus on the creature. I will worry about the collar.
Haven't really seen Blade since he got back from the sewer.
Carrying Hunter home on his back.
He's still outside. Being extra broody. Maybe you should talk with him.
Good idea. I'll go with you if you like.
All I'm saying is the tower's lost. We're no closer to breaking through Slimerama's Sanctum shield, and our exalted Chosen One just woke up and is listening to our every word.
Then we go to the Forge to see our researcher's solution to the Venom problem. We need to take him out to get into the Sanctum, and Hunter can't get close to him yet. If we can create a symbiote sampling device, we could grab a little nubbin of him and analyze it to create some sort of shielding suit for the Hunter. After running a mission and getting it researched, we're ready to test it out in the field. The Avengers again are being cocky, wanting to run the mission, despite Spider-Man having faced off against Venom countless times.
Venom problem? No problem.
Wow, you got some serious range on that old Spidey sense, kid.
Or he got my text.
Either way, I'm your guy. Come on, team. I got an idea.
We encourage Spidey to speak up at the round table, again playing into this getting rid of his imposter syndrome stuff. Initially, they don't want to listen to his ideas on capturing Venom, but Blade and the Hunter fight his corner, and the group agree to let him take point on the plan, whatever that plan may be, as he doesn't actually share one with us. We come in by the Sanctum for our next magic portal, right as it seems as Banner is transporting some gamma tech to the place. Arguably, this is where we should be sending all the Midnight Suns in, as Crossbones, Venom, Banner, and a ton of armed goons are here. We could take them all out at once. Spider-Man then gives the signal for the plan.
He's what I have become.
What's up, Doc?
Eat his brains.
Signal! That was a signal!
He lures Venom to the clock tower where Spidey once lost the symbiote suit and Brock had first put it on, and he bursts through, surprising Spider-Man. Venom is a bit unique here in being able to circumvent his Spidey sense. The rest of the crew pile in, and we're in a massive boss fight against the creature now. He knocks the bell down that Spidey was planning to use against him, and so thinking on the fly, we'll have to get special attack cards from killing some of the goons here to ring some smaller bells and provide Spider-Man the opportunity to bring Big Bertha back up here. You can also farm heroism in this fight to the point you don't need to use the smaller bells too. It really just depends on how you've set your heroes up. The fight resolves with Spidey pulling the big bell up and the Hunter punching it to disorientate Venom, while Spidey grabs the sample we need. Venom falls and is seemingly crushed to death by the big bell. Either way, Caretaker is pleasantly surprised the plan actually worked. The group actually pay their respects to Spider-Man after having not really trusted his capabilities, and it's a good moment. The Avengers are slowly learning to trust less proven heroes despite their prejudices against them, and those smaller heroes are gaining their confidence. Whilst the suit is being made, Nico plants the seed that she may have discovered an example of someone cleansing one of the fallen. In ancient times, well, back in Egyptian times especially, Caretaker deems it too dangerous and forbids her from actually looking into it further, but when's that ever stopped Nico? Lilith taunts us in her dreams, telling us how she knows we'll be heading to the Sanctum, and she can't guarantee our safety. She knows he is coming, but doesn't give us any names. Now, the suit Stark and Strange cook up for us, the Faithbreaker suit, is rather funky looking. Its primary purpose is shielding us from that whole energy that makes us explode, it's a mix of demonic and cosmic energy. With it, we'll be able to actually get into the Sanctum, and I was wishing it was just a jet black suit rather than the white one covered in all the squid spaghetti. But it does look kinda cool, I guess. With our suit ready, we go to the mission table and spot that Venom hasn't actually been seen since our showdown, so now is probably the time to strike. The Hunter, Blade and Captain Marvel head in through the hole and through the sewers, and any symbiote tentacles we encounter on the way turn to ash and dissipate when they come in contact with our new suit, so I think we can deem it a great success. The group advance underneath the Sanctum, and we've got a direct way in there now if we can clear some of these tendrils away. Of course.
Oh, and one more thing.
We are not alone.
We have to deal with a few goons here. Certain ones will drop the Purge symbiote cards, a little bit like the Venom fight, except the boss is the room itself really this time. Throughout the fight, we purge 3 big tendrils and fight off Hydra goons. The group break into the Sanctum itself. Blade and Marvel holding off the troops in the sewers as we charge up, jumping through the floor, coming face to face with Banner and Lilith. She accuses us of being alone and abandoned, but Spidey and Strange come in to assist us. Before we can actually do anything to strike back against Lilith, she uses the innate power of the place to summon forth some demonic orbs, creating a giant breach into some unknown green plane.
Thick.
Not while there's still a chance to seal that breach and save the Sanctum!
And then just leaves after unleashing some unknown havoc. Banner's device is the cause of all of this. We then have to fight against a team of Hydra mystics to seal the breach in the hopes of reversing the damage. These tombs can summon hellhounds out of the rift too, and are surprisingly tankier than you'd expect a mage to be. Of course, things don't work out squeaky clean in the ending cutscene, as Stephen tries to hold the Sanctum together, clearly straining against the magic of Chthon. And while he's about to die, we pull him out, and the Sanctum erupts into an almost volcano-like structure of pure magic, signalling trouble for sure. The Sanctum is lost, the team lick their wounds, and we see the mysterious astral body floating ever closer as we move into Act 2 of the game. Before we go anywhere, the pacing flies through the roof from Act 2 onwards, so it's a good time to say, if you enjoy my content, it helps massively if you interact with this vid in some way. You'd be doing me a huge solid if you liked, commented, and or subscribed for more. Otherwise, we're jumping straight into Act 2 here. The demonic rift has had a few effects on the world.
Getting reports of zombies in the sewers.
Vampires in Manhattan? More vampires in Manhattan.
The green sky is growing.
All right.
Let's not give in to rumors.
Apparently, the spider sense has also been triggered a few times since. The Sanctum was like a supernatural ozone layer, and with it gone, demonic portals are opening across the globe. Unfortunately, the prophecy ticks on. A lot of the portals are focused in the American Southwest, and Iron Man mentions that Johnny Blaze and his carnival are located there. It turns out Johnny Blaze is holding a MacGuffin called the Parchment of Power. He's a secret guardian of it. Lilith needs this missing page of the Darkhold to advance the prophecy, and her newly unleashed demons are quite capable of sniffing it out. We need to head over to Blaze's carnival to provide him some backup. At the same time, the next DLC became available, but we'll cover that slightly after. First,
get inside. You can go straight to hell. Oh, she's dead.
Blaze actually seems to put up quite a fight against Sabretooth before a possessed demonic woman binds Blaze and asks for the page, quite nicely. Wolverine and the Hunter both show up for their own reasons, and Blaze isn't too happy to see either of us. We're left facing off against the Nest Mother, a unique boss of a creature who can summon in these magic rocks, which on subsequent turns will buff her comrades. You can actually damage her by destroying said rocks. The demon taunts us about being unable to stop the prophecy before being put down by Wolverine.
Maybe so. But not today.
Just ignore the blonde guy in the clip, we'll get to the DLC later. Sabretooth manages to grab Blaze after he drops his shotgun, and we dash in to help. We fight Sabretooth off, and after the death of his fellow travellers, Blaze rides off into the distance. While we couldn't recruit him, we do manage to recruit Wolverine to our side though. Now, the mysterious blonde guy. So not only on the vampire side does Deadpool smash their holy grail,
Something. Screw it.
You shall bear witness to the ascension of...
Click.
What?
but we actually link back up with Venom in the sewers of New York to discover why he's been turned into a vampire from eating so many of them. Peter Parker signs a contract with Mephisto using his soul as collateral that will wipe out the vampire threat in exchange for Venom being cured. He then comes to join the team and is an absolute monster in combat. Honestly, one of the best heroes for most, if not all, missions. Now, given our recent failure, Caretaker is a bit upset with a lack of team cohesion between the Avengers and the original Midnight Suns, with both sides accusing the other of not pulling their weight. We managed to give a big hero speech, being named the leader of the Midnight Suns and combining both groups officially for our anti-prophecy mission. You can lead in a few directions with the dialogue, but the outcome is always the same.
We are all the Midnight Suns. When every one of us believes that, we will be ready to face my mother.
We assist Venom in fighting off a few vampires attacking some civilians, and Mephisto summons us again to Limbo for wasting time saving innocents when we should be killing the vampires and not caring who's collateral. It's not very heroic, and he sticks some soulless creatures on us. We bat them off, and then we're told to finish what we started, or he'll be keeping us in Limbo before we're teleported away. Our next main mission is a fairly big one. Captain Marvel had been running searches looking for Blaze's location, and at the same time had a ton of alerts showing
Latin?
Do not trust the horse Trojans. Carol, just what type of search were you running?
An alert that Tony informs us only pops up when someone's trying to access Howard Stark's tech. We see that something mean and green is doing this in the southwest, and we assume it's more than just a coincidence, so we head to one of Howard Stark's bunkers to see what Bruce is doing. Tony flies in headfirst to hear a recording of his father and triggering a trap by Bruce.
No trap, Tony. An invitation.
He wants Tony to work with him to shatter the limitations of both science and magic, and probably do whatever Lilith tells them. When he declines the offer, some Hydra mystics come in who we have to face off against whilst wiping files from their little Hydra terminal setup here. It's a good point to show Venom's passive ability too. He starts with stacks of what's called Ravenous, which buff his abilities, but these are used by casting said abilities. Certain cards and the start of new rounds restore 1 point of Ravenous, meaning he's generally stronger at the start of the fight, and you should plan accordingly. It's almost the opposite to Storm's, where her abilities get stronger as the fight goes on, so when you have them together it's a nice combo. Fighting through deeper into the bunker, we face off against a giant creature known as the Dread Maiden. We burn Howard's files, but this almost reawakens Tony's older traumas. See, Howard Stark was big in the arms industry, profiteering off of war and working on building bigger bombs, better missiles, rather than hugging his son. He was also big on gamma radiation, and if Bruce Banner can find a prototype in those files, we won't be able to deal with the Hulk when he sets everything up in motion. Tony heads off to bed and we rest. The next day, he uncovers the files from the ones we hacked and discovers that using the gamma accelerator Howard was working on, we could potentially fire a concentrated beam of radiation which would just overload and disintegrate the Parchment of Power, stopping the prophecy in its tracks. Of course, when Magic goes to pull us a new portal in, she can't, she's being blocked by a wall of pure demonic energy. While Stark cooks up a solution, Spider-Man pulls us away with a new problem. Eddie's gone missing, feeling quite guilty about the pact Spider-Man's got himself into. When we find him and comfort him, the group realise a big vampire nest is under the church where they initially faced off. It could even be the source of the whole infestation, and on that word alone, we see who's running the show in the background.
Infestation. Infestation. Prince of Darkness?
Wait, you mean
The father of death.
So to be clear,
The Impaler.
Humanity itself is the infestation. You insect.
The group face off against one of the most interesting Marvel villains, Dracula, who is a monster of a boss in this game, being able to counterattack heroes who have the bleed status and doing some pretty heavy bleed infecting attacks. To defeat him, the group bring the foundation of the church down on the nest, though Dracula makes his escape. He's got all the powers of a regular vampire from the lore, and essentially they all call him boss, except for Morbius. Unable to get to the gamma accelerator, the main group decide to go for the Page of Power first, using Robbie and his Spirit of Vengeance and some magical artifacts to track down Blaze. This leads to quite a climactic chase sequence where Blaze is on the run from Sabretooth and Crossbones, but Robbie's fiery steed knocks them off the road.
What the hell?
When they go to make a mad jump, Blaze is captured and chained by Lilith's Lilin, who wants to tear the parchment from his soul. He quips back at this.
Tempting. Truly. But I've already promised my children the privilege of tearing it from your soul.
What soul?
We obviously fly into the rescue. After defeating a Nest Mother and some horrid creatures that can both split themselves and duplicate enemies, Johnny uses some big dick energy to throw off the demonic change binding him, and when the group come under attack by Solus, he actually reads from the Parchment of Power, surrounding the arena in fire. Fights against Solus are interesting, as your attacks count as free if you can knock one out, and the elite enemies drop new cards for you to play in the same turn, making it a bit of a hack and slash instead of the same strategies you use against other groups. We survive waves against them, and Blaze makes his escape on his motorbike, promising to be in touch with us, but we still don't have the page. On the B track, Morbius realises that Sin has replicated his sunlight serum and has shipped bottles of it back to her benefactor, revealing she's been working with Dracula this whole time. The group do make some progress on cracking into the demonic barrier keeping them away from the gamma accelerator, however, with Blade, Wolverine and the Hunter tracking down the bar guest that has been roaming the Abbey, presumed to be a Hydra experiment rather than the actual creature of legend. It's captured and taken to the Forge, where Strange and Stark turn it into a new suit for the Hunter. With our bar guest Gucci on, Strange theorises that it can be used to not only pass through the demonic energy barrier, but it will make us invisible to the Lilith in that area, as we'll appear to be demons ourselves to all their senses. Because, well, we smell like a piece of beef jerky. When we go to jump into Magic's portal, which for some reason she can now open in there, Charlie, our Hellhound, joins us of course, being full of demonic energy herself. The suit holds up against the Lilith's senses despite a few touch and go moments, and this is the only time in the story that this power will be shown. It never works after this point. Though the Hunter manages to break stealth by flinching right as we're about to destroy the shielding device to enter. This leaves Charlie and the Hunter to deal with the device whilst being attacked by Lilith. Luckily, while their reinforcements grow in strength each turn, you don't have to kill them all. Only the device needs to be destroyed to advance the mission. Charlie can apply a status effect that essentially makes any of our attacks have the quick keyword, which is really useful for a support character. It's a shame we can't take her on many of our missions unless you max out your good karma. With the shielding device eventually down, we break further into the complex to find Banner's device now unfortunately being guarded by Wanda Maximoff, the fallen Scarlet Witch. But Robbie and Magic jump in and have been researching a way to bring her back from the dark side, so we might be able to kill two birds with one stone. We have to down her 3 times and use a special Absorb Darkness power we can grab from certain enemies to actually defeat her in this encounter, leading to a cinematic where that happens in a more condensed story-friendly way. Wanda basically has the group on the back foot. It looks like we're fleeing into one of Magic's portals, but she actually put one behind Wanda so Hunter could jump through and take her guard. We chant and purify her, but to do so we have to absorb her darkness into ourselves. It can't be destroyed, only transferred from one vessel to the next. She is saved from this, and she seems relatively unscarred, and so do we. The caretaker's almost forced to eat her words after she was so against the group trying to save Wanda. She's been a fallen for so long that she's traumatized to the point of not being able to sleep anymore, being scared she'll turn evil and hurt us all. We let her sleep and encounter Lilith in our own dreams, who taunts the fact that we have absorbed more corruption and she's closer to having her child back. There's yet another crack in our collar now, and things feel like they're hanging in the balance, despite us having the very item we need to end the prophecy before it can reach its conclusion. The group just have to find Blaze and the parchment. To finish off Morb's DLC, we go to Central Park to deal with a vampire attack right before dawn, strangely. It's revealed that his serum did indeed work, leading us to fight Dracula and other vampires in the sunlight's glow. It's not even weakening them. The fight rages on and Dracula thinks he's won.
Lost children, you disappoint us, betray us, shed the blood of your own. No one hurts you more than family. Join us in the light. We won't ask again.
You won't. But not for the reason you think.
But it becomes clear that the fight itself had played right into Morbius's secret plans. See, the serum isn't a one and done deal. By using their vampiric powers, the new Daywalkers had burned away the diluted version of the serum. Dracula flees into the sewers below, and what seemed like a potential apocalyptic scenario is averted. It's more of a sun block than a sun vaccine. The group have a movie night to celebrate Wanda being back, and then we're back to our other apocalypse. We see that the Hydra movement doesn't just concern the southwest of America, but they're moving to fortify Eastern Europe too. Blaze then commandeers the map table and summons in Robbie.
I'm too holy from the feel of it.
Quite the reverse.
Wake up, kid. If you're getting this, well, we gotta have us a little conversation. Ghost Rider to Ghost Rider.
I'm listening.
In person. Here, at the Mesa. And I need your pit crew too. Counting on you to bring them. So don't screw it up.
We get there, and Blaze tells us that he has a plan to stop our mother, and then when we challenge him for being so abrasive, he literally slaps the parchment of power into Robbie. Of course, this all seems too good to be true, and as soon as we enter a church that Blaze escorts us into, we're in limbo once we pass that threshold. Turns out he made some sort of deal with Mephisto to give us over to him so that Lilith can't use us to advance her prophecy. It actually seems like a very decent plan, as nasty as it is. We have a rehash of the fight against the Soulless with Venom earlier, as Mephisto plays with his newest toy. Instead of being overrun, we found out that Magic has some tough words for Mephisto.
You forget. You are not the ruler of Limbo. I am.
Ileana, nicely done. You always were so...
She deals with him off screen in a sort of 1v1 while we jump out of one of her portals back into the American Mesa. Lilith had sent demons here thinking that we'd been lost, and her motherly love does back most of her decisions. When she smells the page on Robbie though, she goes to fight us, and we have to deal with another Nest Mother. Magic also just hops out of her portal, implying the fight against Mephisto took approximately 5 seconds. We deal with the demons, and then it becomes clear why Blaze was so abrasive whenever we saw him. The page has a corrupting influence, a bit like that one necklace from Harry Potter. Robbie is a bit abrasive now too, burning down the church in anger, and the rest of crew can spot he's become a bit of a jerk when we get home.
A jerk?
Since he started carrying that damn page, that's
Why don't you worry about yourself, Blade?
Whatever you say, Robbie. Why don't you go find Peter?
Well, maybe I will. I'm out.
We begin our research on the Gamma Accelerator to prepare it for destroying the page. And we gloss over one of Storm's DLC missions. You know, she was looking for that mutant called Dahlia. She finds her, but the chick had been captured by vamps to make use of her weird mutant abilities. The group then have to face off against a combination fight of Dracula and Sin with a very unique setup. They're running Morb serum and a load of mutant blood through Dahlia as some sort of magic filter, and to save Dahlia we need to kill enemies to lower the heroism count of the Save Dahlia card. Surviving against two supervillains at once though is a bit of a hassle, with Dracula's ridiculously heavy hits and Sin's ability to cause enemies to target heroes and make those enemies into spawning pods. When Dahlia is saved, Blade chases Dracula away and just misses him despite some wicked Bladerang throws. We take Dahlia back to the Abbey, even with her looking like a member berry at this point. This leaves one vampire mission left, which we can deal with later. For now, after passing enough time to research the Gamma Accelerator, the Suns might actually be able to stop the prophecy in its tracks, if we destroy the page of course.
Come on over, Hunter. I'm slinging some hot, fresh, parchment blasting tech here.
Is this it? Is this the thing that will destroy the parchment?
You better believe it. That's the Gamma Accelerator, plus a few tips taken from dear old Dad's notes, plus a few crucial adjustments, plus some revolutionary new tech created on the fly.
The mission is titled Los Diablos, and oh boy is it a doozy. The plan is simple.
You want to shoot the indestructible page with a giant ray gun.
A giant gamma ray gun.
You can't just blow up the parchment of power with gamma energy. It isn't done.
Our supernatural supes aren't convinced, but given they failed so far, Tony thinks a technical approach would work better. Los Diablos, the birthplace of the Hulk and essentially a gamma nuke testing site. Using the laser, we can make a similar explosion which will take the page out. The mission has Tony using the whole group, though in gameplay it's just us, Wolverine and Magic, and then a second group which includes us, Robbie and Iron Man. When the mission starts, we open up to Iron Man setting up the gamma cannon at the Los Diablos site. We're trying to soak in all the ambient gamma present there and blast it at Robbie's page. He's doing donuts around the perimeter as the Abbey isn't masking him, but why couldn't he just stay in the Abbey until the cannon was ready? This game has a serious problem with people being hit by the dumb ray throughout the story. Sometimes people do things for no apparent reason, or just ignore some of their powers, or the powers they've been exposed to throughout the game. It's very strange. Lilith, led by Sabretooth, come piling in just as Stark starts to charge his device, leaving Magic, Wolverine and the Hunter to hold the line. Banner decides to follow Robbie instead of dealing with Stark's business. We have a short section defending against a few waves of demons, Hunter at this point being our most useful character, and I could never tell if they're just built that way or if I'd invested a lot more into them. Sabretooth joins the fray and is easily dispatched, making him comic book accurate.
You don't get it, Rump. There's magic pumping through these veins now.
You got that right.
Hold it!
The outro cutscene gives us one of the best one-liners I've ever seen, and a hero literally murders someone. Robbie is upended, and I thought the Hell Ride would have had some sort of auto-suspension, but he manages to be saved by Blaze regardless, giving him a bit of a redemption as he takes the page from Robbie, looking to make the ultimate sacrifice. Robbie gets the recognition from his hero as Blaze performs the most crucial stunt jump of his career. Unfortunately, the worst case scenario has happened. Banner got in the way of the laser, reactivating his Hulk powers, and worst of all, the surrounding blasters took out Blaze and let him get his big green sausage fingers on the page. Hulk is as accurate as you can make him in a game. There's no way to actually defeat him. If you knock him down, he just gets back up the next round. It's a matter of just surviving against him here. Hitting Hulk enrages him, and I think buffing his damage, but also making him more vulnerable to attacks from other heroes, meaning everyone needs to pile in, which makes sense. Hulk could wipe the MCU on a good day, or at least get fairly close to it. The Hulk fights are really fun despite it being a survival mission, and the cutscenes afterwards just as good.
Such power.
It is like fighting a god.
I'm taking him down before we can do it again. Just need to...
All these years, Tony, letting you think you were my equal. I could have squashed you so easily.
Hulk isn't just the Hulk, he's got a margin boost and is all but invulnerable to even the Hunter. Worst of all, the group don't even defeat him here. He just leaves us laughing to go deliver the page to Lilith, likely only holding back on her orders. With the page, it's revealed there's only one thing now that Lilith needs for the prophecy, the Hunter. So the group go back to the Abbey to lick their wounds, and we kickstart Act 3, the Champion of the Gods, seeing the stars align in space. Our first mission of Act 3 is actually the last mission of the DLC. All of our various vampire hunters have decided we need to bring the smackdown to Dracula wherever he's escaped to. Nobody really has a clue except Eddie Brock using his investigative journalism hunches to track down both Sin and their magical sunlight serum. Strangely enough, this is one of, if not the only mission we play without the hunter's involvement. It's another 2-squad mission, and this time the group as a whole head to Anor Londo to Dracula's castle. Storm turns her bats into KFC, Venom holds the backline, Morb, Blade and Deadpool on the vanguard.
Time to make a few house calls.
As the vanguard take on Sin and her forces of mook vampires, she goes to pounce on Blade, only to get absolutely curb stomped by Storm using the full whack of her power. Morb and Deadpool hang back while the other 3 enter Dracula's castle to have a little powwow with the big man while he lies in his coffin. I really like the design of the area too. It feels like we're right in the centre of the nest, and I especially like the design of the coffin. Now, we get batted away before Dracula makes quite the entrance.
Once again, my disciple underestimates your power.
There's nothing new mechanically about this fight here, but plot-wise, he's attacked by all members of the team, with Deadpool doing the most work. No, actually, it looks like the team is in some trouble until Blade locks in. With that vampire bite and Tylenol in the womb, his powers come full-fold. He stakes Dracula in his coffin and causes the rest of the new breed of vampires to run away. Dracula warns us that without the army of vampires, nothing can save us from what is coming, and perhaps he was also aware of Lilith, rather than working directly with her. Maybe it's implied Hydra is fragmented here, or is hinting at something even worse to come. We see after the mission, Sin actually survived the onslaught and has taken the appearance of the Red Skull, but you won't see her for the rest of the game. Most of the main missions from here on out take place in Transia 2. Hydra have been reinforcing their position on Mount Wondagore. The group decide they need to strike back against the forces there, and the Avengers get absolutely demoted for their previous win-loss record, losing the Sanctum, the Parchment, repowering Fallen Hulk. This time the OG Midnight Suns decide to head to Lilith's new camp and let the Avengers make the coffee. Turns out the mountain here is the home of Lilith's tomb, where the cutscene at the start of the game took place. Despite hearing the Hulk, the 3 of us, Magic, Nico and the Hunter, decide to lead a head-on assault, with Nico using the Staff of One to, well,
Buy us some time. Get inside while you can.
Magic also summons in Blade and Ghost Rider, and the lovely hot rod-sized halls allow us to rush in, trying to stop Banner and Lilith from reforging the Darkhold. She tells us everything she's doing is for us again, and that everything will be revealed as she sicks some goons on us. Luckily, Banner's in the middle of a ritual cast, so he can't get involved. We decide that rather than attacking her shield directly, we'll face off against the goons and cause the mountain to crash down upon the chamber. Even as a passive viewer, I could see the worst this would cause is they just pause the reforging of the Darkhold and just go do it later. Like, a collapsing cavern is not going to kill the Hulk or Lilith if she's meant to be so powerful. But as intended, we smash all 3 pillars needed, and then the place comes crashing down like we're playing Dwarf Fortress. Robbie gets a special shout out here as Lilith's barrier is holding up, and then he gets some vengeance for Johnny Blaze. Rocks fall, the villains die, end of story, right? Wrong. Mere moments later, we see Hulk burst out, as expected, with Lilith and an intact Darkhold. She merely holds it up to the sky. Hunter feels the pull of Chthon, even within the shielding of the Abbey, and we see and hear countless demonic portals opening across Transia, and likely the world. Mount Wondagore is transformed into some mysterious temple to Chthon, and we're in deep doo-doo. The story slows down its roll slightly, as Agatha appears to ask us to perform a ritual that will make it so everyone can see and hear her. Currently, we have both, and the Scarlet Witch can hear her. She's still blaming herself for Agatha's death, so she agrees to work with us to help get Agatha back into our plane. We search through the caretaker's room for an item of Agatha's to use for the ritual, with Wanda standing guard. When pressed by Nico, she comes up with a funny excuse to be stood by the room.
Oh, I guess I am. But I'm waiting on the hunter.
Oh, for what?
I'm going to confess my feelings.
What?
It's true. I have strong feelings for the hunter.
The next morning, before we can perform the ritual, Central manage to re-establish satellite contact to Transia, and the group see that Hydra are blocking civilians leaving. In fact, Crossbones gets on the comms and taunts Steve Rogers.
I know you're hiding out in your little fun house, so listen up. No one's getting out of this country except in a body bag. Or unless you're brave enough to swap places with them. So what do you say? You man enough to face me?
Anytime, Rumlow.
It's definitely a trap of some description, but his hero's code isn't going to stop us from springing it to save some civilians. Despite being in the depths of Eastern Europe, the scene that unfolds has this weird French wartime feel to it. I don't know if this was intentional, but it really feeds into the mission being led by Captain America, saving civilians against Hydra. Crossbones is ecstatic that Steve heard his taunts and has come to fight him, and for like the 3rd or 4th time we get a rehash of that original Venom mission, save civilians and avoid end of turn damage zones. Most of the dialogue in this mission is between Captain America and Crossbones.
Please count on Captain Boy Scout and this posse to come running. Anytime they're screaming, nobody's to rescue.
I'm not about to stand by and let you kill these people, Rumlow.
When the civilians are rescued, Crossbones brings out one of Faustus's old magic bombs, planning to use it to blow up the seemingly one bridge out of Transia. Someone higher up is allegedly ordering him to do all this, and while it doesn't seem to be Lilith's playbook, it could be she's just trying to create this exact situation to lure the hunter out. When we disable the device and Crossbones with it, we think everything is hunky-dory, until he fires a shot at this magic core and charges into Captain America, stating that the old man knew this was all going to unfold, and dropping to his doom when we try to save him. It might just seem the ramblings of a madman at the end of his line, but he's actually left a USB in Steve's hand, so perhaps he's turned face and wants to right all the wrongs he's been doing for Lilith. That same evening, the group perform Agatha's ritual, and Magic has to knock Mephisto away when he tries to interrupt it. Depending on who you choose to run distraction, various members of the team, or even the whole team, will develop injuries that take a few days to heal. It's pretty nutty seeing them all fly up on screen too. The next morning, Marvel needs help decrypting the Crossbones USB, and Steve isn't being very helpful. He's deduced that Crossbones gave us those files intentionally. One labelled Project Gutmurder is a secret weapon from the original Red Skull, Captain America's greatest foil. In this iteration, Red Skull's already passed away by this point. Now, Captain America feels shifty about using the weapons of his oldest enemy against a newer one, but after some talk with the Hunter, we eventually settle on the enemy of my enemy is my friend for this issue. Carol then cracks the files and we're told of a secret Hydra research facility, and look at these two guys absolutely mogging it. They've both been gobbling those trenbolone sandwiches. Now, the Hunter, Wolverine, and optionally Eddie Brock will head on over. We need Wolverine specifically for this mission for his ridiculous sense of smell, given Red Skull's facility is set up like a haunted house mirror maze of tunnels. After feeling like they've been walking around for hours, Wolverine takes them around the right corner and they uncover a secret vault and some Lilith that have ambushed a few Hydra. It seems perhaps that the Hydra and Lilith, they're not really getting along as they initially once were. The Hunter also says that these Lilith seem feral, but we don't really hear anything about that later on. We fight through a veritable horde of the duplicating Lilith before cracking the seal on whatever Project Gutmorder was. Inside the abandoned vault is a dagger looking like it's made out of obsidian with a tentacle themed base. Upon grabbing it, well, turns out the thing has some connection to Chthon, and by busting into the vault we've also alerted the mean green fighting machine, who once again we simply just have to survive against for a number of turns. There's no really beating the Hulk. He starts backing the three of us off a ledge, despite of course all of us being able to stick that fall. Logan taunts the Hulk and our heroes fall down into one of Magic's portals, safely transporting them back to the Abbey. The dagger we recovered is called the God Killer, and it originated from outside of our realm. Strange asks if we have some time to research it before we plan on using it against anyone. Next on the list, S.H.I.E.L.D. get in touch on the comms, the government special agency ran by Nick Fury. One of the agents is leading an offensive against the Hulk, and Stark is obviously advising them against their death by invulnerable Green Giant. After hearing them get wiped, the group decide it might be time to deal with the Hulk.
Stronger with time. Those men are doomed.
We're now in attack position. We just don't have a visual on the target. Laying down a perimeter.
I'm telling you, get out of there!
Wait, there's movement above. It's Hulk! Oh God, no!
There's no way he'll allow us to get near Lilith or the temple, and Agatha appears and convinces Wanda to go back home to Wondagore and use some of her stupidly powerful magic to bring the Hulk down. Now, in several comic book iterations, she was more than capable of wiping or altering entire universes, so I get it. But in this game, she's a bit weak mechanically. I'm happy with the plot armor though, so Agatha tells her to let go of her restraints. She's practiced enough bottling everything up, and we see her fly into the Hulk and then hold him restrained in the air. Lilith appears though, distracting her, and well,
And I will make you whole once more. My pain? Yes. Mother. You can have it all!
she's saved by the group, and we need to repeat her fallen fight by downing the Hulk thrice and absorbing his corruption. The rest of the group provide the distraction. And the Hunter jumps on the Hulk's head and then chants away, absorbing so much darkness but seemingly getting away without another crack in the collar. Banner turns back to normal and we kindly rescue him. He's exceptionally apologetic in the Forge and promises to help us. With all the ideas he's got floating around in his head, it means he can spend some quality time with his old friend Stark. It's a touching scene given how upset Tony was when Banner got grabbed. It's not all sunshine and lollipops though. The midnight sun, as in the celestial body, is so close to Earth now the sky is glowing green. We've got mere days before the prophecy will be complete, and so really this is the last chance for the heroes to do anything. Banner's able to assist with research, but the Hulk, he can help us in missions. He does a lot of damage and a lot of taunting, getting more power for each time he's hit and losing it for each attack he dishes out. It's like the opposite of Deadpool. I almost feel like by the time you get him in the game, it's a bit too late to either invest in him or level up his friendship. Unless you were doing a lot of side content for the fun of it, I have no clue how you'd get his special full friendship suit before we finish the story. There's only a few missions left. The Hunter has one last dream about Lilith, and we learn that she had sold her soul to Chthon to prevent the Hunter, her son, from succumbing to some sort of corruption disease. So she wasn't wrong in that she does everything for us, but she could kind of stop doing stuff now. It's a rather weird dynamic, but I quite liked Lilith as a villain in this game.
Why won't you accept how much I love you?
The final morning, the final mission is ready to get going. Strange tells us that the dagger, the God Killer, is actually fashioned out of a piece of Chthon, a part of him that was sliced off the last time the Dark God was vanquished. Hunter is the only one who can wield it, of course, and it's our magical MacGuffin to defeat the Elder God. Our Infinity Stones, our Pym Particles, our item that conveniently is the exact thing we need to move the plot along. It's par for the course in a comic story, but I'd be doing a disservice to not mention how hammy it is when you're told about it like 2 missions before the end. We go to the portal station and we see what Stark has been working on, which is quite nice. Midnight Sun outfits for every member of the crew. A combination, should I say, of Stark tech and strange magic. Some look fairly normal, others really badass. We finally got a team uniform, and the team as a whole step out through one last portal into Transia to assault the Temple of Chthon. Strange is telling us how impenetrable the gates of the temple are. Then we're transported to a distant place, the area we've been meeting Lilith in our dreams. A dark temple with the stars behind us and the midnight sun blazing in the background as Lilith captures our team.
Moments a long time.
Lilith states that her plan was to destroy Chthon, but doesn't really give us any context as to how she planned it. She raises us up and breaks our collar, and we see an awkward step in the plan that she didn't quite realise. The Hunter has been possessed by Chthon, and our strongest heroes have been locked away. We're given 3 randomish heroes and need to fight against the Hunter in quite an interesting twist on the formula. Sadly, I don't think the NPC Hunter reflects the card choices you had or even the alignment, but a lot of the attacks are the same. Now this fight is grand. Certain enemies will drop Midnight Sun cards, giving you free access to the ultimate abilities for various heroes. Normally these are locked behind maxing their friendship, but for this mission you can just use them. Iron Man's, for instance, is absolutely insane. They're all ridiculously cinematic attacks. When the Hunter is downed enough times, Chthon speaks through them, accusing us of our hubris, and we see that the Suns didn't want to defeat the Hunter, only buy him enough time so that the power of friendship would let him take back control of his body. The final fight has us fighting waves of super enhanced enemies to establish 4 seals, basically a wave for each seal to bind Chthon. With the seals set, the PNG skybox of Chthon stares down at us, seemingly unaffected by our actions. Demons pour in, and all seems lost before the old bait and switch comes into place. Lilith pulls the God Killer out of herself and stabs the Darkhold. Chthon is vanquished, Lilith's curse lifted, and she sends the other heroes home. See, due to the whole curses and bargains with Elder God stuff, both the Hunter and Lilith belong to the Darkhold, and so will go down with it and Chthon. But at least he gets to feel his mother's love, and it's rather touching when Lilith is scared she failed us. It wouldn't be a cheesy story without another villain turning at the last moment, but they really do the emotional moments right in this game. Now, the story actually happens a lot slower than when you're reading it beat by beat from a script for a YouTube video, so bear that in mind. But still, Act 2 was way shorter than Act 1, and Act 3 really felt shorter than the DLC. The world is saved, and life seemingly returns back to normal. The supernatural members of the Suns are looking into how they might save Hunter, teasing a sequel, and then we pan to the credits to see a mysterious character walking up to the Darkhold.
Surprise me, beloved one. Coming so far.
It is over already. Amateurs.
Why do they have to tease the greatest villain, one of the greatest characters in Marvel history like that? I know we covered a lot there, so let's do a bit of concluding. I'm going to preface this ramble with I really enjoyed this game. Marvel's Midnight Suns might not exactly reinvent the wheel, it's really tropey in all honesty, but it brings a lot of these comic book characters to life that we don't really get a lot of love for with recent adaptations. I was balls to the walls happy to see Blade on my screen, and Wolverine. I'm sure some people felt the same about Robbie or Magic or Nico, and it weaves these folks in with some of the more mainstream heroes from the catalogue too. While the plot can get messy somewhere between Hydra science projects, vampiric side quests and ancient prophecies, it's still fairly easy to follow. Bad guys wake up an ancient evil, good guys wake up an ancient hero, good guys fail to actually stop the bad guys advancing their mysterious doomsday plot until the very last second when, shock twist, our main antagonist wasn't actually our main antagonist, and Lilith makes a sacrifice to save the world. It's full of a few plot holes here and there, it's patched up by MacGuffins through a lot of the points, and characters not actually using their powers where they should be, unexplained absences of other characters, but it makes sense from the perspective of they were only going to fit in a few characters in a game with an already quite packed roster, and everyone needed to be hit with a dumb ray for the game to make any mechanical sense. If the Hulk had his powers from the start, it would be game over. If all the X-Men were on Earth, well, it would have also just been an X-Men game and game over. Lilith isn't just a Saturday morning villain, she's a mother, twisted by grief, doing the wrong things for the right reasons, and you can uncover that secret actually earlier in the game if you go through all the side stuff of exploring the Abbey and the side content. I still, for the life of me, have no clue what she meant to do in that final act. She says she was trying to kill Chthon, but she seems to be hit with a dumb ray as much as anyone else. For the Hunter's Journey, they gave a decent mix of customization and player choice, but a lot of your choice, unfortunately, either seems meaningless or they have little payoff. Sure, if I pick the bad boy option, some people will respect me more, same with the good boy ones, but besides improving friendships of characters and some throwaway bits of dialogue, my collar will always break in Act 3 and the ending will always play out the same. I think that's the only glaring problem with this game, and it's the plot. There's a whole lot of doing pointless things or doing things for little payoff to be bailed out by someone else. You could go through and level up your friendship with everyone to get their cool move and their fancy suit, or you could just wait for Tony to cook them up for the final mission and experience it all anyway. This game could have really done with the Mass Effect 2 treatment of, if you didn't bother to build those relationships, maybe someone dies, maybe Chthon wins, or maybe the mission could have been harder in some way. The game really fights against itself trying to put so much content in, but not knowing when to trim the fat. It's still quite a fun game. The pacing does go absolutely bananas the further you get in, each act barely half the length of the other one before it though. So, I know I just said a load of negatives, but mechanically and from a hammy story-wise, it's actually quite fun and enjoyable. While Midnight Suns might not be the cleanest Marvel story ever told, as a game, it still has a lot of heart. The mechanics, again, are quite fun. The choice of heroes mixed in with all the saucy side content, it brings a real human element that I've ironically left out of the video. You should really, if you play this, explore all of the friendship options for the characters. An example here being Blade setting up a book club on accident because he had a crush on Captain Marvel and wanted to talk to her about books. And so he has to invite your character along as well so it doesn't seem weird. Perhaps bonding with Magic and breaking through her tough exterior for the payoff of understanding her better as well as another point to raise. I think we can put this game to bed and hopefully the RNG gods above us will bless us with either a sequel or even the same game style but for different IPs. If anyone else had any thoughts, feel free to comment them below. Otherwise, over and out, smooth brains.
I know this is meant to be a serious moment or whatever, but